with the reality of what we are, what Indian Railways are, what it means to everybody was something very important to us. So yeah, so I think all of us understand this reality, all of us understand what this context is, and we really wanted to live it. We really wanted to enjoy it. We really wanted to embrace it as an office. So here I really try and share with you our understanding, our journey so far. It's just been a year. We've been living it, dreaming, sleeping, eating, breathing this project. So many faces I see here who've had sleepless nights almost for months to get this going. And I am here today to really share with you a little bit of behind the scenes, a little bit of the journey, because we really went all out. We really, really went all out. Of course, my strongest memories of the power of Indian Railways is how it really spans the country. Gandhi took it as almost a symbol of how to span, how to understand the country. From the fact that he traveled to his last time, it was really about how railways and how each station on that journey was really full of people just coming and marking the respect. It's always such a cultural reality to India. And so we really wanted to make sure we understood the impact one would have. We wanted to really understand what it means. If cricket was religion, this was something that all of us were touched by. The stations, the rush, the reality, the waiting. We all had our delayed long queues. Understanding what the entire reality of platforms are, because to me, to us, to most, platforms were the stations, they were the life. And of course, the one thing that we all probably remember very clearly is the sound. You know, that's so us and so Indian and so railway station reality that one should look at.
कृपया ध्यान दीजिए
So do, of course, cannot take away the chai, cannot totally take away the railway cutlet. I cannot imagine how many high society restaurants I have seen this on the menu. It's just so beautiful. A railway cutlet. How everybody works like a family, how everybody travels like friends, having fun all across. And so it's really become an icon. It truly, totally becomes the one of the very, very good Indian design icons, the whole idea of Indian Railways, the whole idea of the station. So we really tried to romanticize this journey for us to be completely consumed, to be able to come up with solutions that were no long standing. So New Delhi railway station is the journey I'd like to share today. One of the largest networks in the world, takes care of crazy number of people all across. Jammu, Jhansi, Jamnagar. These have a population of 5 million people. That's what the station deals with every day. It deals with absolute cities on a day-to-day basis. The whole scale of how it works, we all understand, but perhaps the depth and the width and the way it kind of behaves across time is something that is really, really important. How it has the diversity, it has this crazy reality of how very different kinds of people continue to travel and are really, to me, the truest representation of the nation. People spend time here. The kind of real estate on visibility is insane. How do we tap into it? Is that a source of opportunity, a source of education, a source of inspiration? We were looking at everything as a place that needs design, that needs intent, that totally needs understanding to be able to transform one big station, the center of Delhi. It is a very complex situation. So we've spent a lot of time understanding every aspect of it for the last 6 to 9 months of what all needs to be done at a station. It really is an opportunity to stitch the urban fabric across. We really saw that as a physicality as well as an experience. And so we were very clear what should happen as an approach. It had to be extremely user-centric. You have to put people first. It really also had to be at that cusp of a very healthy discomfort. I shall explain this later. And more than architecture design, I think it was an exercise on system design. It really was about how all these systems can work in isolation and then be brought together in a physical space, and still each one functioning well with a larger experience of everyday goers to be the prime one. So, for user centricity, one really had to do mapping from coolies to guards to workers across to everybody people. They are all, for them, this is life, this is their home. For a lot of people who come to a station every day to even catch a train, it's really a part of their life on an everyday basis. So we must listen. I think that was really the hardest. I hear stories that, oh, now site visits can be easier because we've got Google. We've got Google surveys, we've got Google Maps. That's not the point. The point of a site visit is always the smell and the sound and the material and the local realities. And I think nothing gets exaggerated more than in a project like this. Healthy discomfort. I'm a big fan of this reality. I think the general level of tolerance needs to be high. We need to really set the bar, not necessarily a gold standard of 21 degrees Celsius. We need to really understand what's comfortable but with prudence. So, how do we design for the nation with a certain degree of prudence and sensibility? So, we need to change our North Stars out there. And of course, system thinking has to be, there is so much luggage getting transferred. There's so many people who survive on the station. This particular station, from a temple to a mosque, it has everything on its platforms. It's incredible. So how do we make this complex web really about a process that can then, like I said, becomes a standard that we can follow, because this is really the start. Imagine these are the first few stations getting modernized in India. So what's up for us in the next 25 years? What to do, and sometimes more importantly, what not to do. So went across multiple stations, the best in the world that we could understand that had relevance. One of the most densely populated cities with the densest network of about 1,000 trains, more trains than New Delhi, is a city called Utrecht in the Netherlands. Understanding how they did it, they built over platforms. They did something similar to what was being envisaged, and how they would work around all the elements and challenges that we are having. And they did it 15, 20 years back, so how to learn from that. Or the Hague Central Station, where you had this insane reality of multimodal. They pretty much define what multimodal transport hub meant. Every possible way of transportation came here as a knot, and not only came here as a knot, it was visible. It was right there, interconnected into one volume. It's the most amazing exercise of how all sorts of transportations in today's times could be brought together. I think time has come, the world learns from China. So there's no way one should ignore that. So went to China to understand the scale. People here were terrified with this New Delhi railway station and its challenges. It's all been done. You just have to understand how people in the world have tracked. This is almost 1.5 or 2 times of the New Delhi railway station. But we need to know that this is what one has to expect. So we really could see it, understand, look at challenges, and of course also bring together what we thought is needed as a final solution. And it was interesting for us because we had just had a beautiful experience doing 75 odd metro stations in Mumbai. So we kind of understood how one could work on these complex realities within the government framework, but still really put the everyday citizen as a stakeholder, how to put that together. Most stations are up and about. We were also invited to do the central station of Vilnius in Lithuania. So we had a lot of energy, COVID times, to do a full research and redevelopment project in the heart of the city of Vilnius.